spécial et vu la démonstration de Fife qui est en bois. S'il y a des personnes qui veulent passer qui veulent avoir ces démonstrations traduites en français, veuillez lever les mains.
Alright, so again, hello and welcome. My name is Cam, and in front of you you see a small contingent of the 41st Fifes Drums, which would have been stationed here during the War of 1812. Now, I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about Fifes and Drums because there's going to be numerous presentations of Fifes and Drums, and they're all going to say about the same thing. But what I'm going to explain is the actual coats that we're wearing, because they're a little bit different than a regular Fifes and Drum regiment, I guess, or corps. Our regiment, the 41st, their infantry wears a red coat with red cuffs and collars. What the Fifes and Drums did during this time was reverse those coat colors. So if our regiment reversed those coat colors, you're getting the exact same thing. Kind of defeats the purpose of trying to stand out on a battlefield. So what we did was adopt a white or buff colored coat, one of only 4 regiments in the British Army to be able to do so. The 49th, which you'll see around, their infantry wears a red coat, green cuffs and collars. The Fifes and Drums are therefore wearing a green coat, red cuffs and collars. A little bit easier to swap those two. So what we're going to do for you, we're going to do a little bit of a concert demo. We're going to start off with the most important function of fifing and drumming, and that was playing duty calls. So on a garrison, you have an officer of the watch station in the guardhouse with a fifer and a drummer 24 hours a day. And that fifer and drummer is being told by the officer to play certain calls, such as the reveille to wake them up at 3:30 in the morning, the troop to form up for any inspections or drills, and the song we're going to be playing for you today would have been featured on Sundays. It's known as the church and recruiting call. So this would have been played, the soldiers would have formed up to march down to St. Mark's Church, which is still there today, for their main mass on Sundays, as well as used by recruiting parties going into town to recruit new soldiers into the British Army.
Attention! Drums ready! Beat!
The second function, which is much more typically think of fifers and drummers doing, is playing music on the march. It's basically used to entertain the troops. The troops know a lot of lyrics that go along with these songs, mainly filthy lyrics about what they did last night, who they beat up, how much they had to drink, and so on. So again, rather entertaining. Sort of like a car radio nowadays. You get from point A to point B, gives you a little bit of entertainment. But a more practical note, the fifes and drums play at about 75 to 108 beats per minute, and the soldiers take about a 30-inch step. With those numbers, the officer is able to put it into a formula, calculate how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B, just so that you're not getting there in the dark and having to set up your camp. It's a little bit easier, and it's a very good tool to use. So we're going to play a few march pieces for you. The first is known as Chain Cotillion.
Attention! Drums ready! Beat!
The song we're going to be playing for you is known as The Downfall of Paris. To my knowledge, the drum beating is actually used still in modern drumming. It encompasses almost all of the essential rudiments you need to learn, so it's a good learning tool for them. Drums.
Ready! Beat!
song we're going to be playing for you comes from our third duty as a fifer and drummer, and that's playing ceremonial music. Now, Fort George being the center division of the British Army, you're going to be having a lot of high-ranking officers coming through the fort, wanting to inspect your troops, making sure everything's running smoothly and everyone's ready to go. So throughout the day, you'd see them lined up in front of the barracks, waiting to be inspected, and again, the fifes and drums are brought along for that entertainment purpose. A little bit different than the march music, though, considering those tunes had those line upon line of filthy and vulgar lyrics. You did not want to be playing those songs and having the soldiers sing to them, as you have, say, a major or a general colonel walking up and down your ranks inspecting your troops. Pretty sure he doesn't want to hear what you get up to on your spare time. So the fifes and drums set aside a select set of tunes that didn't have any lyrics, paid tribute to a foreign dignitary or regiment, or was a foreign national anthem. Today we're going to be playing for you a German piece known as Hohenfreiberger's March. Ready, beat. This does unfortunately conclude the fife and drum demonstration, but like I said, there's going to be numerous fifes and drums playing today, so you might go home with a little bit of fife ringing in your ear at the end of the day. I know I do. But on behalf... There is a band of music demonstration, which is all the rage at Fort George nowadays. We'll be having some flutes, clarinets, a serpent, which is sort of equivalent to a modern-day tuba, and a lot of other elaborate percussion and whatnot, and that'll be at noon. Parade Square? Or? I believe it's in the officers. Oh, okay. It's going to be in the officers' quarters here. It is good music. Historically accurate music as well. But if you are leaving us, thank you very much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.